Hey everybody, welcome to Randy and Janelle Live. I'm Randy.
And I'm Janelle.
How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. It is Thursday and it is gorgeous, and I fit into my jeans this morning, which
I
is
know
huge.
that's a plus. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, but first we want to talk about. We thought it'd be really awesome to bring in a great friend of ours who happens to be an education specialist with South Sutter Charter School. So she is an expert at homeschooling. And I know that all of us have been forced into this homeschooling scenario, whether you wanted to be or not. And so we thought, what a better way to try and navigate this together than with somebody who's dear, dear, dear friends of mine and yours as well. And that she lives it, breathes it, does it for a living. So we wanted to bring her on to help us navigate this during the quarantine time. So please bring in Laura.
Yeah, I will. Here we go.
Laura.
Any moment now. Hello.
The suspense.
The suspense. Look, she has a big old smile. She's going to talk about homeschooling, and she has a smile. It is amazing.
Okay, so Janelle and I homeschooled before, and I tell stories all the time. Me and my student would just sit at the kitchen table and cry. It did not work. We tried. I tried. Janelle was successful. I tried. I was not. And I have so much appreciation for teachers because I remember we homeschooled. I did kindergarten at least.
Yeah. And I did kindergarten in first grade.
Okay. So when my son went to public school in first grade, the teacher at the first parent conference said, "Where did your son go to school last year?" And I said, "I homeschooled." And she said, "Oh, that explains a lot." So I was just beside myself. I do not have that personality. But with COVID now, we've all been forced there, Laura. So we are coming to you to say, please tell us some tips and tricks of how to do this and let our dear friends out there know how they can survive this time.
Yep.
Without starting drinking at 9 a.m., right?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, without your bottle of vodka, how do we get through this?
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm very happy to share because my very first thing I want to tell everybody is to take a deep breath. Really, the first tip and trick is to take a deep breath and get perspective, because this couple of months at the end of this year is not going to make or break anybody's academic future. So senior and high schools probably have a little bit more that they have to concentrate on. It's a little different story for them, but because everybody's in the same boat, they will be taken care of. It will be okay. So, and then you really do have two different types of homeschooling. You've got your small kids, your youngers, your elementary school kids are in a totally different boat than your older kids, your high school kids. So any population you'd rather me speak to, because it's kind of a different story for both.
I don't know. I'd kind of like you touch it both, because I have friends that have the young kids and they're going crazy. And then I have friends that have the high schoolers and they're going as crazy. So you would think.
I don't know if you know this, Janelle, but you're one of them.
Okay, so I have all of it.
Go for it, Laura.
You know, for the youngers, it is relax. Totally relax. I was a classroom teacher before I went into homeschooling, and it really did take me a couple of years to undo my classroom brain, that you have to have this start time of 8:30 and you go through English and then math and then history and then science, and give them a 10-minute break and a lunch break. Like, relax and rework that whole thought process, because it doesn't have to look like that. It doesn't have to look like a traditional school. I'm hoping that most people have support from classroom teachers if they are now out of classroom. So use that support system. Like, they may give you ideas and give you things that the students have to accomplish, but they're also going to have a lot of patience and grace if those things aren't done in the first 20 minutes of the day that they've assigned it. So be nice to yourself. Like, really, the biggest, most important thing is to take deep breaths and realize that it doesn't have to be done a specific way at a specific time. And the most important gift you can give your student is by being peaceful, right? You don't want this to be a stressful time. And they're going to be stressed enough at it as it is. When we as adults are stressed, it doesn't matter. No learning's going to happen. So the first and most important thing is relax. Like, relax and find your own pattern and your own, because everybody's housework's different also. And then you've got people who are working and are not working. So you may totally flip-flop school and do it from, 4 in the afternoon until 8 at night, and stop for dinner instead of lunch. And so take a deep breath, relax, and find your own rhythm. That's probably my first tip, is that you don't have to look like everybody else, and you're not going to look like a classroom. So relax.
Great tip. I love that tip, because our school around here isn't starting until like 2 in the afternoon because they're sleeping
all day.
Yeah.
I like it. All right.
Yeah.
And same with olders. And for me, what I have done in my house is I also know my kid, and I know how he works. So we have a schedule. We do have a schedule, and it could happen for the youngers as well. Again, know your kids and know your house, because for us, we have a schedule. We have a start time. We have, and then we just have a checklist. He doesn't have to have things done by a certain time, but he has a checklist of things that he has to accomplish within the day. I don't care if it's done at 10 at night, but I have a freshman in high school. He's self-monitoring. So that is that. The second thing is communicate. If you have support teachers in elementary school and in high school, make sure you're communicating, or the student is communicating all the time. Like, if they need help, if they don't understand, if they get an assignment back and it's an F and they're like, I don't understand. Communicate, because they don't have the opportunity to ask the questions like they do in a classroom situation.
That's like my favorite word, communicate. I feel like I'm going to tattoo it on myself somewhere. That's like, it's the resolution to so many things.
Yeah. And in saying that, we as parents need to, because we can go to the teachers also. I'm thinking again about the big kids, if my kid is not, dude, help me help my kid, right? But the way that you communicate that needs to be in a gentle, graceful, be nice to the teacher, ask for help way, right? Yeah. So don't come at them with a "you're ruining my life" attitude. Make sure that you go in, kind of in a way of, hey, I just want to help my kid, so help me help my kid. And then so communicate. Okay. The third is resources. If you need resources, contact me. I don't know how they can get my info. I'm on Facebook and Instagram.
We'll post it.
Yeah. There are homeschool groups, Facebook pages with tons of ideas and tons of people who are really helpful and willing to help. I know my boss has posted a whole bunch of things. If you go to the South Sutter Facebook page, they have a ton of resources. Math seems to be the biggest thing, and probably the most important thing that all age groups really should do every day, even if it's a little bit. But use your resources. Don't think you're in this alone. You're not. And there's lots of things that you can use. So yeah. And don't do it alone. Like, your neighbor, your friend, your friend's mom is doing, trying to figure out how to navigate this. Don't do it alone. you know?
Yes, that's a really good point. The groups and stuff. I haven't actually heard much of that or people talking about that. So definitely I would like to know some of those links, even our
Yeah.
Facebook groups, and we can put it below, because I think that really a lot of people right now do feel alone. I
Yeah.
think they feel, even though we're all doing it, they feel like they're by themselves doing it. So I
Yeah.
think connecting people together is really important right now,
Absolutely.
especially since we have quite a ways to go. They're not
Yeah.
going back to school next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing too, I wish that more teachers would do kind of the Zoom classroom thing. I know there's a lot of ifs and a lot of elements that are hard about that. But speaking of alone, I feel like the students feel a little bit alone too. They're so isolated, especially if they don't have siblings. And I know
Yes.
there's many of those out there. They're just so isolated, and that Zoom time lets them at least engage and see other faces. So maybe if some of these places, Laura, people are talking to me about, some of these kids are feeling isolated. They're starting to feel stressed, because I think the stress on the parents, as long as this goes, is showing more and more because of so many unknowns. And we have never navigated this before. We don't know. And not only that, but school for some was a safe place. And so, for some, how they're getting their meals is different during the day. How everything is different. So I love that you said to reach out if they need resources. And I know it may feel like we're late to the game with this, but it's better than not at all. We're a month into it or so, but guys, we've got some people have a month and a half left of school still. So just trying to, now we're to the point where like, it was funny at first, but now you have to survive it.
Yeah.
Well, and I have a question, Laura, because I've kind of heard this, because it is so different, right? Like, I feel like even the first couple of weeks, people weren't doing school because they either had spring break or teachers were just trying to figure it out.
Right.
And then it's only been the last 2 or 3 weeks that I feel like people have really got their groove on, going, okay, here are lessons plans, here's this. So I have heard, because of that, you should kind of extend school more into what would be our summer, just so that kids are keeping up and staying engaged and all that kind of stuff, because stuff is so different. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know if they'll be popular, so be patient with me. I think the most important thing is that kids are reading, and kids are dabbling in math every day. Again, high school is a whole different story. They need to be able to navigate the curriculum or the concepts that were covered or are trying to be covered at the end of this year. So again, that is a whole different story to navigate, other than the fact that every teacher is going to know that starting up next year, they're going to have to do a little bit of remediation.
Review.
Yeah. So review and applying concepts that knowing that students may have missed, or they weren't founded and grounded as well as they normally would have, that they're going to have to just kind of review them and go over them and do mini lessons within their bigger lessons. So again, for me, I go back to relax. Extending our school year is going to create more stress, and it's going to, perhaps do not more damage than good, but I don't know if it's going to do an exponential amount of good if we extended a week or two, especially for the youngers. Like, really, their academic success is not going to be broken by this season. If you are reading with your youngers, if you're asking them questions about the story, talking about setting and characters and, what the story theme is, just in general conversation, the kids are learning. They're learning and they're engaged. And again, if you're doing that, if kids are reading, you can do subject studies. Like, kids. My favorite thing that I've learned about homeschool is kind of the different philosophies, and the Waldorf philosophy, and the even in the unschooling, which totally freaked me out at first. But it's a beautiful, beautiful philosophy of being and tapping into a kid's curiosity, but allowing that curiosity to push them into, all right, write me a paragraph. If we're going to go out and hunt for caterpillars, let's go find bugs, and then you're going to draw a picture and write 4 sentences about it, right? And then you're capitalizing on things that the kids are actually interested in, and they're still doing what they're doing, and they're practicing, right?
Yeah. So, Janelle and I talked about that earlier on in this. Are we, now's the time to be teaching your kids what they're not getting in the classroom. So to capitalize what you two ladies were just talking about, through the summer, we still can be reading the recipe books and baking the recipes, and that's math, that's science, that's reading. You know, what are the field trips that we're taking? What are the wildflowers on the side of the trail that we're walking by? So I think just being open, I think I posted it a little bit yesterday. It's amazing what you see and bring into your life when you slow down a little bit. So we're being forced to slow down. It's the perfect opportunity to notice the wildflowers on the side of the path, because I didn't notice before. Just get this done. And now it's like, these are teaching moments as well.
Exactly. And dream, dream. What if kids don't have time to dream anymore? I was watching another teacher who is doing Zoom classes with her 5th grade class. And each time she's doing a different background in Zoom of a country she's in. And the kids have to figure out where it is and then write a couple of stats about that country. So I just think about your own families, right? Anybody's family. Do you guys have dreams to travel somewhere? All right, let's as a family look at the geography of it. Where is it? How would we travel there? What are
that would be post-corona? Post-corona.
Totally. But we can make our plans now, but
exactly. But doing the front work of dreaming about some place they want to visit, and that could be in the United States. A family road trip of all of the national parks. What state are they in? What are the routes to get there? Looking at maps, looking at the terrain, all of that is learning. All of that is learning. And I think that we discount it, especially in a community like Folsom, where we are so academic driven, and score driven and grade driven. Oh my gosh, the learning is so rich when you step away from that and you dive into things that you love and places you want to go, and
real life.
Yeah. There's
not
just so much more. Dude, community service. Teach our kids how to serve. That is something that is 100% lacking, of, stepping out of our own space. And, what are the community spaces like the food bank that our kids could be involved in, helping other people, and how that all works. The food bank is running out of stuff in their warehouse. I didn't know they had a warehouse. Okay. So, there's so much more than just a book, and so much more than just a test.
I feel like we need to have you back on and give us, okay, for this week, here's an idea of what you can do with your kid. Just in this few minutes, I feel like you've given me so many examples and ways to think outside of the box on learning, and making it fun for the parent and for the student. That all sounds fun.
And it should be, right? Learning should be, and that's something that we take from them in the classroom sometimes, because we're so, and please, I am a teacher, so I understand the standards, I understand the boxes that have to be checked, and the expectations to, go further down the education path. I get it, but in that, a lot of our kids lose that. Oh, I'm curious. Oh, I want to read about that. Oh, I want to watch a documentary about that. That's the last thing that they want, because you're telling them to do it, or it's, a have to. So
yeah.
Dream.
Awesome. Okay, so maybe with your ideas, the drinking time went from 9 a.m. to maybe get closer to the 5 p.m., 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yes, so maybe 2, 3.
Give yourself some grace. Give yourself a break. Your top tip was breathe, relax, communicate. And then the third one?
resources,
which we're going to post. Yeah. We'll post them below. Thank you so much, Laura.
Yes.
I love you dearly.
Have fun.
Yeah,
Okay,
we will. We'll have you back soon. Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh, that was amazing.
So good.
So many ideas. I'm like, I want to do a whole travel trip now.
I know. And I was just wanting to do a whole study in caterpillars because I almost stepped on one today on my walk. I don't even have a little anymore, but I'm
right. That sounds fun. I loved that. I definitely think we should have her back maybe, early May or something like that, just to keep up the encouragement, keeping up thinking outside the box, stuff like that.
I hope you guys enjoyed that as well. Those were great things. And just know that you're not alone. I mean, it seems like you're alone, but you're not. So we hope that you'll check out the resources that we're going to post, and hopefully that number one tip that Laura talked about, give yourself some grace, just breathe, would be super helpful. Because I think I was trying to be super structured. Even, in our first couple of Randy and Janelle lives, I was like, I'm texting my kids and I've got a list and we're trying to make a schedule. And okay, reality sets in, real life sets in, and it's exactly what she was talking about. You got to know your kids and know your household and know that we're trying to work from home too. So navigating all this, we've got to get it all done in a way that we come out the other end alive.
Yep. Alive, sane. And
sane. And so that was great. So hopefully that was helpful. Please comment below if that was helpful to you. We'll be doing more of these like that. But for the meantime, I want to get back to you fitting into your jeans, because that's super exciting.
That's just as exciting.
It is. It's almost summertime. That's really exciting.
It is.
We, as you know, started the 30 Days to Healthy Living. We're on day 4 right now. We started that group. It's amazing. I have so much energy today, Janelle.
I know. I can tell. You're like, I'm the one that talks with my hands, and you sit there, you talk with your head, and you're talking with your hands today.
I noticed that too.
Like, whoa, what is up?
I've got
that
energy.
Is funny. You have energy.
I walked 3 miles today, 5 miles yesterday. Just feeling good and not like drained and just achy and whatever. So it's amazing when you take bad stuff out of your body and put in good stuff, just the immediate changes that you can have.
Totally. I know. I noticed with my sleep last night, like I normally, especially during the last month or so, have been tossing and turning and all the things, and I slept like a rock. And when I woke up, I was like, okay, let's get up. Where normally I'm like, no, we're not getting up. So it was really nice. And only on day 4, like I can't believe that my body is starting to reset this quickly.
That's so awesome. So so many of you, some of us, we're doing it with friends as well. It's super fun to do it with friends because you have that accountability and you share stories and you share recipes and all that stuff. So we're starting our next group May 4th if you're interested. So reach out to us if you want to be a part of that. You're going to be amazed at the difference of how you feel. So we'd love for you to join us on the next kickoff of May 4th as well.
Yep. And we'll only be 2 weeks in about at that point. So there are other people that have already joined onto the May 4th group and are just waiting. So don't feel like you'll be alone or anything like that. We're here to support you. There's large groups, all that kind of stuff. So
it's going to be so fun.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to do it again because the more you do it, the closer you get to the bikini for the summer. Exactly. Yeah, and we're not that close yet. You see, our video is like Gear up. No. Let's be real now. Anyways, this has been a great one. I can't wait to answer any questions that you guys might have and to respond to any comments. And if you have specific questions or have specific questions for Laura, even, you can message us or comment below, and for sure we will get back to you, or maybe if there's a bunch of the same questions, have her back on. So that's right. Awesome. All right. Well, you go have a great day. Thanks. You too. Enjoy the sun. I will. Beautiful day. All right. See you next time. We'll see you next time.